Hey everyone, welcome. Good afternoon from the Netherlands. Let me know if it's morning or afternoon where you are from. And in this drawing session, we'll be drawing from this reference photo. We're going to draw these two eyes. I know that some of you find it difficult to draw two eyes, especially if they're looking straight forward and a bit symmetrical. So I want to show you how you can easily go step by step using guidelines. And if you have your pencil ready and your drawing paper, or you can also just use a sketchbook, then we can get started. So first, I always sketch using an HB pencil, especially if you're going to draw guidelines. Then you want these lines to be light enough so that you can erase them later. I'm going to try to make my sketch or draw the sketch dark enough so that you can see it. But yeah, you want to use a light pencil for the sketch, especially if you're going to do some shading later. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. Looking at the two eyes, I always make it easy for myself by drawing a middle guideline or horizontal guideline. You can imagine that in the reference photo, or you can also print out your reference photo and draw guidelines on top of it. I always observe the reference photo before I start drawing it. So let's start by drawing a middle line. And you can also use a ruler. The guideline doesn't have to be perfectly straight. You can just follow, like if you use the lines of the paper, you can follow the line. And you also want to, when you're drawing the guideline, you want to make sure that it's like in the middle of your paper. Okay, so let's draw the middle line. So you see how I don't draw it at once, but I go like in a back and forth motion and draw the guideline like that. So if it's not straight, you can go over it again. You can use an eraser, you can correct yourself, or you can also, again, you can use a ruler if you need. So you can check if your line is straight like this. And this is what we're going to start with. So I hope you can see my line. I'm trying to draw it light because I want to be erasing this line later. So make sure that this guideline is light enough. And then we're going to start with drawing both eyes on this guideline. So if you look at the eyebrows, let's draw a middle line like this. So then you know that one eye will be here and one eye here. And then as long as you draw it on this guideline, you know that you're not drawing the eyes crooked or anything. So let's see, if you have like the eyebrows on this line, normally or sometimes the eye width and the space in between the eyes has the same width. So the width of the eye, the space in between, and then the other eye. But I checked this reference photo. So I have my reference photo up here. You can measure using the pencil tip and then your thumb. If you have your reference photo on screen, you can make it around the same size that you're going to be drawing, and then you can measure that way. So if you measure the first eye and the second eye, you can see that they are about the same size, but then the width in between the eyes, it's a lot more. So in this case, in this reference photo, we need to have more space in between the eyes. Hello, Jeevan. Good evening from India. good afternoon from the Netherlands. I hope you can join me for this drawing session. Take your pencil and your paper and let's start drawing the eye. So if we have like one eye start here and one eye start here, you can see that this is for the eyebrow. So you can look at the eyebrow and the eye. See that? So I have like a middle line. Let's get rid of that one. So if we have here this line for the eyebrows, and then you can go a bit to the right. You see that? If you look at the reference photo, that's where the corner of your eye can start. And for the inner corner and the outer corner of the eyes, I usually have the outer corner start on this middle guideline, and then the inner corner, it usually is a bit lower, but you will, once we start drawing. So if you have the eye, draw a guideline, and you can measure this with the reference photo you have to check and see if you're having the correct size. And then here the same. So make sure that both eyes have the same width. And then if you see this, the width of where the eyebrows are, but here will be the inner corner, and here as well of the eye. So here's where the eye will start, and you will see that it's more space, just a bit more in between. See, almost. So again, if I have one eye width, this eye is the same width, and now I'm going to put it in the middle. You can see that it's just a bit more space in this case, in this reference photo, if you want to draw it the same. So, okay, now we have our guidelines where the eyes will be. And I have the guideline, I want the guideline to be exactly where the pupil is. So if the pupil is in the middle of the eye, then it will be something like here. So now if you look at the reference photo from the pupil up, that's where you're going to draw the upper eyelid. And then because the guideline is exactly in the middle, you want to draw the same height for the upper and for the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. And then because you want the next eye to be the same, you can go to the right, or you can also use your pencil to measure like this, and so that you have the same height. And then here as well. So here for the upper eyelid, and here for the lower eyelid. So once you have these guidelines, then you can start drawing the eye. But first the crease line. So a bit higher is the crease line, but not as high as this width. So around here, and then you can go again to the right. You can also check if you're drawing it straight like this with your pencil. So just double check, see if you have everything. Okay, let's start drawing the first eye. And it's easier if you work on both eyes at the same time. If you draw one eye completely, then you might get lost in the other eye. So let's start drawing the curve for the upper eyelid, and you can check in the reference photo how curved the eye is. So this is the outer corner of the eye, and then the inner corner is usually a bit lower. You can also check from the pupil. If you look at the reference photo, you see the pupil, and then you go to the left, you see on that guideline is the outer corner. But now if you go to the right, then you see that the inner corner is just a bit lower. So curve it like this, and now for the same you can connect it to let's see, the outer corner where the lashes are, and then you have the inner corner and the crease line. You see how the lash line is further than the crease line. Try to curve this with the same curve as the eye. And then here you see it angles a bit down. And the outer corner. And you see how it goes a bit inwards. Now let's do the same here. So here we have the lash line, which is a bit further, and the inner corner is a bit lower. So try to work on both eyes at the same time so that you can correct and check and compare if you need to. A bit inwards like this, and then curved. And let's see if we have this. And the crease line also goes almost as far as the lashes. And also you always have a water line and then the lower lashes. So don't connect the lower lashes to the lowest, to this lower eyelid. So the crease line. See how it goes a bit down and how it curves. Here it almost goes straight, but just curves a bit, and then here. Okay, now for the eyebrows. So if we have the line here, you can go a bit higher than, let's say here, and then for the right. And see how it angles a bit, and then it goes, yeah, not really straight, but like this, and then the tip goes like that. So for the outer corner, you can like angle this where the eyebrow stops, and here where it starts. So you can go up from the inner corner, and then you see that it's just a bit to the left. See how it goes, a small point to the right, and then on this side. So they're almost symmetrical. It looks like this eyebrow is just a bit longer. And again, you can measure to double check in your reference photo if you have it the same size, and also check yeah, so the left eyebrow is a bit shorter, and you can also check to see if the eyebrow is straight. So you can go from from the end to the end, and then check this in your reference photo. And you see that this one is just a bit higher. So we can fill in the eyebrows later, but just want you want kind of like a shape, eyebrow shape. Let's remove this guideline and this. So now once you have the main placement of the eyes, you can remove some of the guidelines. I just use a kneaded eraser. It's easy because it doesn't, you don't get any eraser crumbs. Okay, but we still need to draw the inside of the eyes. So from the corner here, I see kind of like a shadow here and here, this shadow. And I also see a highlight of the nose. So if this was the middle, then just a bit to the left, you see this highlight on the nose. So if you draw this or add this shadow, it looks a bit better. Otherwise the eyes look far apart. And then, yeah, you can add some shading, of course, that will make, so this is just the outline, the sketch outline. Okay, so you can, if you're not sure, like if your eyes are off or if something is bigger, just check and compare both eyes to each other, and also measure with your reference photo. Double check everything, and then we can move on to the inside of the eyes. So the iris is a full circle, but usually the upper eyelid is covering a part, and sometimes the lower eyelid is also covering a part. Here we only see the lower part of the iris. So you want to imagine a circle, but I make it easier for myself to think about a triangle. So think about a shape. So if you look at the inside corner here, and then only look at the white, like the eyeball white, imagine a shape. So how far or how small do you see that shape? See that? It's quite small. And then here we actually have the inner corner there. But if you imagine this, it's easier instead to draw than the whole circle. So here you see more space, you see more of the eye. I think I need a bit more space, so then you can draw it a bit more like this. So now imagine the triangle on the other side. So here, and then we need this to close it. So now you have the iris. So if you have this side and this side, double check. You see that here you see less of the eye, and then here. And I think I need a bit more. So look at the eyeball white and compare it that way. And then you can also see if you have maybe the corner was too close or too far, then you can correct that as well. And now you can finish. So imagine that the circle is continuing here. So go like this, circular motion, and here it connects. Here you just see the lower part, so just a bit. So that's how you can draw the iris. And now let's do this on the other side. So again, don't think about the whole circle, but first the smaller shapes, making it easier for yourself. So if you have this corner here, And maybe we need to fill in this part. So if we have this, the inner corner, and then how far do you see, I think like around here, it's not really, you see a smaller space for the inside, and then on this side, how far. And now you can create the circle. Imagine the circle here, continuing. Okay, and also check if you have it like the same width, if you need to double check or correct yourself. I'm going to correct this corner a bit. So now we have the water line, and then we need to go just a bit lower for the lash line. That's where the lashes are. And here as well. Just a bit lower, so it never connects. The lashes aren't connected directly. It's always a space below. And now for the pupil, we want them on the middle line. So in the middle, and then you see a highlight here. Let's see, it's a bit higher. So if I look at my, if I look at the iris, the guideline is just a bit higher than the inside. So in the middle, try to imagine this top part, you know, this isn't the full iris, so the iris continues here. So you want the pupil to be in the middle of the full iris. So that's why it should be just a bit higher than what you see here. And then here you see this highlight. So I hope I'm not going too fast, that you can follow along. And on the other side, also in the middle, but then imagine the circle going here. So the upper eyelid is covering. And then here's also a highlight, but not on this side, but on the left side. So if the light is coming from the left, then you will see the highlight on this part on the left, and then on this part on the left. That's where you're going to see the highlights. Okay, try to draw it the same size. So look back and look at your reference photo. So I hope the sketch is dark enough. Yeah, this is the HB. I can darken it in a moment. So the iris, and let's see, here we have like a crease line usually under the eye, and on this side as well. So now with the guideline, you see that it's easier to make the eyes symmetrical. So this is just a stick eraser, one of my favorites, the Mono 0. It has a really small tip, and with this I can easily erase the guideline here. The kneaded eraser is also great, but not for those smaller areas. So when you're satisfied with the eyes, double check, measure. You can measure as much as you need. compare and check. Okay, so now that you have the eyes, this is just the sketch outline. I wanted to show you how you can draw two eyes the same using guidelines. Now let's start to shade it a bit. I'm not sure how much time we still have to shade everything. So this is from a drawing session from last week. This like took around an hour to shade everything, but I already had the sketch ready. Here I wanted to show you how I draw the sketch. I'm not sure how far I get with the shading, but I'm just going to show you how so the techniques and the steps are exactly the same as how I shaded here and how I build up the layers. So I start with the HB for the sketch, but then I move on to the 2B or 4B for the shading. First I want to use the 6B before I shade everything with to darken the sketch and to go over everywhere where it's a bit darker. So this is the 6B regular graphite pencil. And then for the darkest parts, I have this Faber-Castell. This is a black colored pencil. So you can use any black colored pencil you have at home. I also use this for the darkest areas because if you look at the reference photo, you see that the black, I also see that in this reference photo. So I might use the black for the darkest areas. So yeah, you can get your pencils ready and I hope you're able to follow along with me. And I'm just going to continue with the 6B and darken everything. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain everything that I do, but I'm trying to focus now to get to cover everything. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm here to help. If you need any help, I hope you're able to draw along. And remember that if you're a beginner or if you have been drawing for a while and you still find it difficult, remember that it's all about practice. And with practice and with each new drawing, you will learn something new. So just keep on going, keep on drawing, draw as much as you can. Just look up any reference photo and draw it. Practice with the proportions, drawing the sketch, the shading. So before I add the shading for the skin, I'm going to darken everything. And then here for the lash line, let's darken the crease line a bit. And the iris is quite light. I think she has beautiful light eyes. So I'm just adding a layer. We can blend that later. Okay, so with the 2B, I want to add a first layer of shading, and you see how I hold the pencil more to the back when I shade. Everywhere where you see mid-tone or shadow. So here, if you look between through the lashes, you see highlight. So I'm going to shade around that area. Here I see shading, and then here under the eyebrow is also just a bit lighter. So that's also where I shade around, just leaving that lighter. Here it's darker. So when you're going to shade something, it's all about values. You want the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows. So I'm also going to add shading on to this side. You can see that this part is a bit lighter because the light is coming from this side. Here it's more in shadow. So compare the values that way in your reference photo. So I just roughly add a graphite layer. And then we're going to blend this. So you see how flat the eyes look, but with values, with the highlights, midtones, and shadows, we're going to start to make it look round and make it look like they pop off the paper. So, oh, here I can add a bit. Now I want to use the soft tissue and blend everything. And then when you're going to go over highlight, take a clean part. And I'm also going to go over the inside of the eye, because the eyeball white isn't ever purely white. So just continue to shade everything, and you see how it already starts to look better, smoother. But again, it still looks flat, so we need to build up the layers. And with the 4B, I'm going to darken where the skin is a bit darker. So here, and then here it was lighter. And if you lose a highlight because of all of this shading, you can just use the kneaded eraser and bring that back. So don't worry if you shade over an area that needed to be lighter. Okay, I'm losing the sketch lines a bit, so I'm going to just use the black colored pencil because it's all pretty dark, and I'm going to darken everything. You see how that really makes it start to pop. And the crease line is darker as well. So after each layer I always blend, make it look softer, but also to create smooth transitions. Going over the eyebrow because it's also dark. And I'm using light pressure with the black pencil. So the graphite can't get dark enough. And you can also use darker graphite pencils, or you also have the Faber-Castell Pitt graphite pencils. The Pitt Graphite Matte. I prefer these are the regular 9000. I prefer these for the shading, but it's all a preference. Everyone has their own preference and favorite materials. So the outer corner, or the iris, outside of the iris is pretty dark. And with the 6B, I want to darken the iris. And then we're going to blend this. So I have the smaller blending stump. And I'm leaving the part for the highlight a bit lighter. It does have a bit of shading, but I'm going to add that later. Or maybe use the graphite that's on the stump, just add a bit shading there. You can always use the eraser if you need to lighten, if it got too light. The 6B, I forgot to add this inner corner. And I'm going to use the bigger blending stump to blend this, because the soft tissue can make it all look lighter. So I want to keep this all a bit darker. So step by step, layer by layer, keep on adding layers, keep on blending in between. And in the beginning there's always like an ugly stage you need to go through. So just keep on shading, keep on layering, and keep on going. So I'm using the extra graphite that's on the stump. I just use it to shade further here. And then here you can notice that the blending stump can get a bit patchy. So that's where I use the soft tissue to smoothen further. Also the inside of the mouth, inside of the eye, like the eyeball white, it's also in shadow. So if you keep that too white in comparison to the rest, it won't look good. But then on this side it is lighter than on this side, because again the light is coming from the left. So always check to see where the light is coming from. Now with the, I think the 6B, yeah, or no, with the black, I want to darken the crease line again. And then add some more shading there. So it's still looking quite flat, so we need to add some more shading. So let's add some shading here. This is the 6B regular graphite pencil. Check where you see the darker values. Good evening from Indonesia. It's evening over there. It's afternoon here in the Netherlands. It's we started at 2 p.m. It's almost 3 p.m. now. So that's always a bit tricky to with the different time zones to find the perfect time for everyone to be able to join and draw along, because everyone has a different time. Sometimes some people are they prefer to draw in the evening, some people in the morning, some people in the afternoon. I'm more like a morning person. In the evening I just want to chill and relax, don't want to be drawing anymore. But for everyone that's different. So with these time zone differences can be tricky to find the best time for everyone. Okay, let's blend this using the blending stump. You see how it's important to build up the layers. Also going to darken here, like the top part of the eyeball white. Blending, blending. Blending tool is perfect for that. And also I use the graphite that's already on the stump to add some more. And let's smoothen this a bit further, because I don't really like that patchy look. That can also be a preference. And if you smoothen or if you shade too much, you know, here is a highlight. Let's actually get rid of that pencil line. Don't need that. We want smooth transitions. So you can easily just use the eraser or the kneaded eraser. So with the kneaded eraser, you can just dab and just lighten an area if you need to. And then here, to get rid of that harsh eraser line, you can blend over it, or you can use the kneaded eraser. And here I also see a highlight. So you see how you can just use the kneaded eraser if you shade it too far or too much. Then take a clean part to shade it again. Okay, now with the black, I'm going to go over the iris again. and darken everything where you need to be darker. So you need to look through the lashes. Darken the iris a bit. And use the smaller stump to blend. And I'm using really light pressure with the black pencil where it's not that dark. So you can use medium pressure and light pressure with the black colored pencil. I need the crease line to be darker again, bring that back. So every time you shade, and also the lash line, under the lash line I see the upper eyelid a bit, and I lost that part. So I just used the eraser, so the lash line is here. You can see, you can look through the lashes. And it can look strange. Yeah, it looks strange with the lashes, without the lashes. So I think I'm going to add the lashes next. Darken the crease line first. You see how strange it looks, but you see how the black really makes it pop compared to the other eye? So I'm going to darken this side as well. And if you darken too much, use the eraser. Keeping this highlight here. And I also darkened too much here. I'm not satisfied with this part here, but let's continue, and once I add the lashes. So that's how you can correct. You can erase. You just can't erase fully when you use the black pencil. So you can correct a bit. So even though you have your sketch and then you think, okay, I drew everything correct, even with the shading you can still go too far maybe, or draw something too big. So you still need to keep on checking and comparing with the reference photo every time. Keep on looking back. At the reference photo. With the blending stump, I'm going to blend this. And yeah, a bit darker. Okay, the eyebrow looks pretty light, so let's darken that as well. Then we can move on to the eyelashes. And these are the steps and the materials I like to use when I draw something. These are my favorite materials, but again, every artist has their own preferences and own materials they like to use. So okay, let's blend this. I think I'm going to draw the lashes now, because the eyes always look unfinished until you yeah, I'm just blending what I added, make it all look a bit softer. So the eyes look unfinished until you add the lashes. Just using the stump to add shading where I need to. Try to make the eyes look round. You see that? So this part here, this part here. And let's blend this. Okay, now let's draw the lashes. I'm going to use the black colored pencil and just look at the how they the direction they go, how long they are, and try to draw a light layer first. We can darken them later. Now I always draw the lashes in layers and try to skip an area. And here you barely see them. And then here you see the waterline first and then the lashes. And I don't like this line, this dark line, so I'm going to use the eraser and erase that a bit because that stands out too much. So just use the eraser to lighten if you darkened somewhere too much. And some small eyelashes here. And what I like to do is blend this layer first. Here in between the lashes, it's a highlight, it's light, so I'm going to use the eraser and then blend the first layer of the lashes. Now darken the crease line a bit, make sure that's not too light. And darken the base of the lashes. not the tips. You don't want them to get too thick. Okay, darken this. Let's see how that looks. Okay, let's draw the lashes on the other side. First, let's darken the crease line just a bit. And start somewhere. Focus on the direction. And with light pressure, you don't want them to turn out too thick. The lower lashes. Oh, I always keep turning my pencil to keep the tip sharp enough. These lashes look a bit longer, but it can also be because the light is shining on these, on the tips of those, you don't see them. And let's blend. Now let's darken a bit more the crease line first. And the lashes, but only at the base. And also just a bit the top part here of the iris. Okay, now compared to the other one, is it as dark? And the eyebrows can be a bit darker. You see some individual hairs? Like that, and here as well, also just a few individual hairs. And below. Okay, now normally I don't finish a drawing in one day or in one time. I always come back the next day to see if I forgot something. Sometimes you just don't see something and then you when you come back with fresh eyes, you see something and you think, oh, how couldn't I have seen that before? What I also like to do is take a picture of my drawing to compare with the reference photo that way. So I'm trying to soften the skin. a bit more here. And with the blending stump. With the 4B, I want to soften the inside. So this is the step where you can check for final details and see if you're satisfied with your drawing. This inside is a lot darker. Shading a bit graphite to darken everything just a bit more. Okay, I think I'm going to call this one finished for now. And even though the reference photo on the skin you see some freckles, I'm not going to shade this all realistically. This drawing session was about how to sketch the right proportions and yeah, how to shade. Okay, yeah, I'm going to call this one finished. I'm satisfied with how this turned out. And yeah, you can continue further and darken some more. You see, I took my time. This was just one eye drawing. You can darken some more, add some more details. So I hope you were able to follow along with me. And let's see. Yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you learned something from this drawing session. And I want to show you that if you're interested in learning more, you can join us in the Artistic Journey membership, because it's open this week for a few more days and we only open a few times per year. For just $23 a month, you'll get step-by-step art courses where you'll learn which materials and techniques to use to create realistic drawings, but also monthly art projects, sketchbook drawings, and art critiques to keep you inspired and to help you improve. And there's also a community of artists just like you, and you'll also grow the skills and confidence to draw anything you want, one step at a time. So if you're interested in joining, now is the perfect time to join so I can help guide you on your journey. All you have to do is get started. And the link to join is in the description, and I'd love to see you inside. So when you join today, you can get started right away with so many art projects ready for you. And once the doors close, I'll be fully focused on guiding and supporting the members inside. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll add the link for you if you're interested in joining. And yeah, I hope you learned something from this drawing session. We drew this eye step by step. And if you have any questions, you can let me know. And I hope to see you inside the Artistic Journey membership. We have let's see, the link is in the description. So if you're interested, and you can also send me an email if you still have any questions after this drawing session. My email is info@emmykalia.com. So you can just let me know. And yeah, again, thank you so much for joining me today. I will be having another drawing session. Yeah, I'm not sure when yet, but I hope you will join me the next time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.